Hi, this is going to be what you need to create your own coloring book. It's going to be kind of like coloring book folder. It'll have pockets in it so you can put all the things inside of it that you want to color. Instead of purchasing a coloring book, you can make your own coloring book. And this is a really inexpensive way and a way to recycle books at the same time. So the reason you're seeing this book is I bought this from a charity shop, and I am going to alter it to make it into my coloring book. I'm going to be covering the cover of this, which is what I've already showed you at the beginning, and a little bit of what it looks like. I'm kind of like doing the filming backwards, but I wanted to show you what you needed, the supplies you need to make the coloring book, your own coloring book. First of all, you're going to be needing a book you want to alter. The book you pick is going to it'll make the difference in terms of what paper you use, the size that you use, how you make your pockets. This happened to be, I didn't even measure it to be honest with you, but it's roughly about 6 by 6. And so 12 by 12 papers will be working well for this size book. If you want to make a larger book, you're going to have to adapt by gluing your pieces together. But this is a perfect size because the images that I color roughly are usually 4 by 4 or around that range, and so they will fit perfectly inside of this to store my images to color. Besides the book, just because I wanted to have something to cut my images with, I have a 4 by 4 square die. You're also going to just need a regular ruler. You are going to need some score tape or double-sided tape that's heavy duty, so you'll be able to put your pages together. You will also be using a type of a tacky glue or really good glue. Both these things will be some of the supplies that you will need. You will also be needing, depending on how many pockets you want to make inside of your book, you are going to be needing 12 by 12 papers, or like I said, more than that depending on the size of your book. In this case, I need, because I'm going to be making 4 pages with pockets on both sides, I need 4 pieces of paper, 12 by 12. And so let's see, I want to tell you the next step would be to be preparing your book. What you will need to do is you have several pages within your book. I'm not going to be making this many pages within my book. So what you need to do, which is what I've done for the first couple of pages right here, is you cut them off. I'm going to go ahead and show you really quickly. You just grab a couple at a time, and you can even measure up to what you've already cut to begin with, or it doesn't matter. You need to leave at least I would say a half an inch from the binding, so I have something to glue on to. If it's a little bit bigger, no big deal. Smaller, not so great. So as you can see, I'm just straight away cutting the pages right out of the book, taking those away. I don't need them. And to best make my pages fit, you want to do this side cut right like that. And the best way to do that is to grab a hold. And again, it's no science, but once you've got your first one done, you can just pretty much use that as your guide. If you need to cut it smaller when you go to add your pages on, you can. So that's all you need to do to prepare your book. You're going to want to cut all these pages out, and you're going to want this because these are what you're going to be gluing your pockets to. So that's what you need to do first. And then, like I said, based on the size of my book, I went ahead and cut out 2 pockets. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to pull over my Martha Stewart scoreboard. And what you need to do, I'm using some bright colored paper so you can see it. It's not something I'm particularly going to be using in my book. This is 6 by 12, and what you need to do, because based on my book size, again, like I told you, I am scoring mine at 5 7/8, whoops, 5 7/8, and then I leave about 1/4 of an inch to go ahead and make my pocket. So you will be doing that for every page depending on the size of your book. Say, for instance, your book is 12 inches. You're going to be gluing at both ends probably and then adding a flap on the end. You just have to adjust to the size of your book. The next thing you'll do, you need as many pockets you want, this is how many of these pages you will be needing. So just for example, I've just cut out 2 so that I can show you what I'm going to be doing. The next thing you do, and again, like I said, I already scored, I'm going to be folding those over, which is what I did for this one. I folded it over, and then what you're going to do is you're going to put some tape on the side, but don't put it together yet, because if you're going to be making your pocket for your book, you have to cut out a pattern. This isn't too hard. I'm going to show you what you have to do, and again, it's not any set science in terms of what you have to do. You just want to decide about where you want your pocket line to go across. And I decided it's not quite halfway, but it's about halfway. And then what I do is I basically trace around. You can just trace around what it is you want, and then you add about a 1/2 inch all the way around. And then to make the corners nice, I just cut the corners off. Okay? The next thing you can do is you can use double score tape, or you can use glue. But this is the trick to this. I want you to see this. This is where we're going to put our pocket together. So don't put the pocket on this side. You're going to be putting it on the opposite side. See, there it is down there. You're going to be putting your pocket on here. So then what you're going to do, flip this over, glue this down to this side, just like that. It's got to line up a little bit better. And then you flip this over. All these pieces will be glued down, okay? I haven't done that yet. You glue all that down, and then you take this tape right here and you pull it down, and now you have your pocket. And you'll be able to put any of your digital stamps inside of here, or whatever it is you're going to want to color. Now, you're going to say, okay, hey, I've got 2 openings on both sides. You do. There's a trick to this. First of all, like I said, this is taped down here, right? You get your book, and again, I'll show this to you again when I get my pages actually made. These are just ones for example. And you grab as many pages as you want, because like I said, it just depends on how many pages you're going to put in here. You want to glue all of these together. So depending on how many you're going to use, you're going to glue all of these together. Like if you got 10 here, glue them together. Then what you're going to do is just slide this over the top of that. It works better when it's actually glued. And it's going to slide on just like that. It really slides on better once it gets glued. The deal is, when you go to put this on, you're going to want tape, double-sided tape here, and double-sided tape here, okay? And again, like I said, all of this will be glued together, so it'll be like it's one, I know it's not a page, but one place where you're going to slide your pocket into. Once you do that, this end will be closed. That then again will allow, it'll be on here like this, and this will be open right here on this side. So you can actually put more digis and more things you want to collect inside of there if you want to color, but this pocket works really good to keep them in place. They could fall out if you tip your book like this. So my suggestion right here, if you do put anything inside of here, you might want to have a paper clip. And we can make fancy paper clips for that too, which will be kind of a fun thing to do. So that's the basic construction of your book, your coloring book. And depending on how much money you pay for your book, I didn't pay more than $1 for this book. And obviously these papers were in my stash. So again, pretty cheap way to do it. And I've already had all these digis. So I'm going to go ahead and put this whole together. And then I'm going to come back and show you little things along the way that might be tips for you, so you can see what it is you need to do. But for the most part, that's it. Oh, and by the way, I am making this based on Miss Daisy Stamps, and she has some really cute pictures for you to color, like coloring book coloring pages. And so I went ahead and printed off some of hers. Oh, and this is the other thing about using making your own. The books that are online that are for sale, the majority of them the papers inside of them are computer paper. So it's not any different than printing them off yourself and making your own coloring book. There is no substantial backing to it, and if you color on them with any kind of markers, it bleeds through unless you put something behind it, but then it still bleeds through and you can see it. So for this book, if you make your own, you can print them off on your marker paper and then just put them inside. So this is going to be kind of fun. This will be an all seasonal book, or I can change it out anytime I want to be anything. For instance, like I said, for Miss Daisy Stamps, she has several seasonal ones, and the coloring on her images are so great because they actually give you some time to color. It's not just one image. You have a scene, and so it's very relaxing and fun to color. This one here is called oh gee, I'm not going to remember some of these, but it's autumn. If you go in there and you type in autumn, you will know which image this is. There's 2 autumn pages that I picked from her site. I did 2 for summer. This is Sweet Blooms, and I'm not really sure, I forget her name too, but sweet Lizzie. It's Lizzie. And then we have Umbrella Ducky for spring, super cute. And this is, I believe this is Allie and Angel. And then we have, she has a really nice selection of owls, and this one happens to be the one called Owl Ways Winter. And then she has another really sweet image, Alana and the Snowman. So this will work for the entire year if I wanted to do one for the entire year, just coloring, and just pick up the book, take it with me, along with a little container of my markers, and I can color anywhere. The other thing that I'm going to show you later too, which I didn't cut out, is I am in the very back of the book. I'm going to be putting a pocket in the back that will hold my coloring board, because as you know, when you color, they tend to bleed through, and if you're going to be going anywhere and bring your book with you, you won't have a place to set your images on without them bleeding through into things that don't belong to you. So I will also have a chipboard that I will be carrying with me, and that will be included in this book as well. I hope you've enjoyed that, and I will show you more along the way. Thanks. Okay, so this is one of my tips, and what I ended up doing is instead of just having one flap pocket on one side, I decided to go ahead and put one on the opposite side. In order to do that, remember I told you to have 1/4 of an inch right down here and flip it over, because that was be so you could glue them together and it would work like that. But in order to do that, you can't have that piece hanging down here to add a pocket to the back side. So what I wanted to show you is you do the exact same thing, but you cut that half an, or I don't know if it was 1/4 of an inch, I think I told you. You cut that off so that it is exactly the same as the front. And then I'm going to go ahead and show you how I actually attach these. This is the inside. Here we go. And I'm putting this on this way. So the color is on the inside in this case. It's probably not what you would do. Then all I do is I glue around the outside of this. If I can get my glue to come down, I'll go ahead and put the glue on first. You just put some glue on the tabs on the outside, just like that. Okay. You can see I'm using a smaller piece for an example because it fits into my screen viewing area better. And then you place that right on top, and you can see where your folds, your score lines are. And you can see how I cut that slant. And you just fold those in, just like that, all the way around. And then the next thing you're going to do, if you're going to do it similar to what I did, is you're going to want to glue right here to make your little sleeve that's going to go over your little pieces I showed you. So just a little bit at the very end, and enough so that it'll fit. And make sure you have enough space this way, even with that glue there, so that it will fit over the little flaps that you cut. Whoops, it's not going to stay very good for me right now. Usually it takes just a little bit. I let them all dry. I make them all and then I let them dry, and then I don't have a problem. But you can see this little bit right there has got to slide into your book. So even when you put that glue in there, you need to make sure that that space, if you do it this way, because before when you had that flap that allowed for the full length, now we're losing like a 1/2 inch right there, 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch. So you need to make sure that you allow for that 1/4 inch if you make your pockets go like this. The other thing I learned when I was doing mine is if you want your pockets to face and the other one to go this way, you have to make it the opposite way. So you cut one with the paper facing this way and then one with the paper facing the opposite way. It's like if you were going to be sewing something, you have two wrong sides together and then you cut out your pocket, and then you'll have two that will be reversed. So that's how I made that. And then what I ended up doing, which I'm going to go ahead and show you in my book, but what I ended up doing is I ended up gluing the one side because I decided I had enough pockets that I didn't need to be putting anything inside of this. So this side I also glued down. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the finished book. And again, I used Miss Daisy Stamps images, and this image right here is Gracie, and she was sitting on a fence, and I just took the fence off. You can actually cut her out, or you can just put her on without her fence. And then I added some words, my coloring book, because it is my coloring book, and it's kind of also like my coloring book folder, like I told you. I also wanted to show you some of the other things I added. So the front, all this paper is inspirational paper. I enlarged this piece of paper from the inspirational collection, We Are Three digital paper, so that I just had the center and not all the words that came with it. And then this is also from the same collection. All of the corners is the paper from the collection, and so is the paper that is matting it. Then the other thing that I did is to finish it off, I used washi tape, and this washi tape happens to have silver on it, and I use it also on the binding, so that totally also adheres everything down. So for my closure, what I did is I used a chain jewelry and a lobster, I think it's called a lobster clasp, and as you can see, it just hooks into that little circle. But what I did first was I hole punched this with my, I think it's called a Big Shot, and then I put an eyelet in it. Now the deal is the eyelet right here, this part has to be big enough, if you can see that, has to be big enough so that you can put your chain through it. So you put your chain through it, and you put your jump ring on this side, and you put your jump ring on this side. You can't really see my jump ring very well, but it's underneath the washi tape. That's what keeps this piece in. I did the exact same thing to the back here, except for in this case I added my clasp, the lobster clasp, but I did the exact same thing by adding that to the back. I'm not going to show you the back yet because that's kind of a surprise. So anyway, like I said, what I went ahead and did is this right here again is the inspirational paper. It looks like coffee cups. I thought it was kind of fun, little coffee cup rings. And then here are the pages that I showed you there. And let me see if I can put that up just a little bit. Hold it a second. And each one has a flap, like I told you. And you just go ahead and put your images that you want to color. Like I said, my book is about 6 by 6, so these pages or these images are like 4 by 4s, but you can see there's plenty of room to make larger ones. So each page you turn, and you can put more images in, so you have a lot of images to bring with you wherever you go. And this is the exact same pocket that I showed you in the miniature form. That's exactly what I did for these. And like I said, if you want yours so that they match, you have to do the reverse on this side. So they go like this, and then actually then this one went the other way. So it just depends on what you want to do. But anyway, I have more than 4. Turns out I ended up putting in 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. And then on the very back, which gives you a lot of space to put a lot of digis. On the very back, what I did was I put this clip, and this clip is removable, okay? And then I also just cut a piece of chipboard, and the reason I did that is when I want to go and color one of these images, usually they bleed through like I told you earlier. So you just take one of these images and you put it on here, and you have your clip right here. If you don't want it to move around, just clip it down, and then you can just color away. And you can bring this anywhere with you and color, have your markers in another bag, and you can have a lot of fun. This is really super. The other thing is cool about this book is it actually stands up really easily. It's hard to show when it's like this, but it just stands up. so I can just keep it anywhere or just lay it flat, doesn't matter. So I hope you enjoyed that. It was really, really fun making it, and really fun putting this together. Again, if you want to use this paper, it's We Are 3 digital paper, and you can find it at MissDaisyStamps.com. And all of these images that are so sweet that I've showed you are also at MissDaisyStamps.com. Thank you so much for watching.